Hello everyone and welcome to Scylla Cloud on Display, Functionality, Performance and Demos. My name is Naam Hassan and I'm the Cloud Team Leader at Scylla. With me will be presenting Erez Mazor, our Engineering Manager. First I would like to talk about the price of experience, or why should you consider database as a service. So as we all know, installing database is very easy. It takes a couple of hours to install the database in its monitor. Then you send an email to everyone letting know it's ready, and it's on to the next task. However, managing a production database is not that easy. There are a lot of maintenance routines you must be familiar with, like upgrade, backup, restore. You need to make sure the deployment is secure and highly available. You need to be prepared for emergency, like when a server crashes and you need to replace it. You need to guarantee against data loss, and as engineers, we know that in most cases we are not given the time to do it properly. So, what is the price of experience? Things usually work until they don't, and then it's up to us to work in the middle of the night and weekends to fix it. We will need to take responsibility when things breaks. Only after handling several of those incidents, we start gaining true experience on how to manage a database in production. Some of the incidents our customer experience includes data corruption and data loss due to not properly maintaining the clusters. Another common example is customers doing wrong estimation, whether it's disk space needed or reserved computing power for background processes. Those wrong estimation can cause slow performance and in some cases downtime. In Scylla Cloud, this is our bread and butter. We have experience managing many clusters in production. Obviously, we have the advantage of being part of the company that develops the database. That means we get a lot of information from our field engineers, support, and developers on the best way to deploy Scylla. We take all of that knowledge and apply it to our automation and procedure in order to get the best possible cluster configuration. We spend most of our time focusing on things like security, high availability, and performance. We do what unfortunately most of our users don't. This includes all the required maintenance, making sure the deployments are highly available and secure. We keep upgrading the Scylla stack. We have a 24/7 PagerDuty and much more. Next, I want to go over a feature called Bring Your Own Account. So what is Bring Your Own Account? Bring Your Own Account is our ability to manage a Scylla cluster on your cloud provider account. In addition to providing the regular database as a service in which we host the cluster, we can simply host the cluster on your cloud account. Why should you consider using Bring Your Own Account? First, in Bring Your Own Account, you only pay Scylla for the cloud license part, while paying your cloud provider for the resources. This means you can enjoy discounts and credits you got from your cloud provider. In addition, storing the data on your account can help with security and privacy compliance. Finally, you get a better visibility to your cluster. What is the advantage for this feature in Scylla? First of all, the price for Scylla Cloud license part is the same whether we run it on our account or yours. Second, in the few managed database providers that do support this option, you will need to contact an account manager and go through an approval process. In our case, this is a self-service process and you can get it up and running in 10 minutes. And finally, there are no limitations and you can get the full managed service with all of its features. Next, we'll be going over to Erez for a demo on how to set up 1 million ops per second in 10 minutes.
Thank you, Noel. We'll now demonstrate how you can get stellar performance from ScyllaDB within just minutes of signing up to a Scylla Cloud account. To sign up to an account, go to cloud.scylladb.com and hit the sign up link. Enter your company's details and follow the instructions in your email to verify your account. Then proceed to signing in. After signing in, you will be taken to the My Clusters page, where you can create a new cluster, start a free trial, or manage your existing clusters. On this page, you can select a cloud provider. We just announced a beta version of Scylla Cloud running on the Google Cloud Platform. Scylla Cloud allows you to create and manage ScyllaDB cluster in your own account. You will grant the Scylla Cloud administration system credentials to programmatically access your account, and we will manage the cluster for you. To set up a cluster in your own account, click the button, and then follow the step-by-step guide in the wizard guiding you to configure 2 policies in one role required for our cloud services to manage ScyllaDB in your own account. Follow these steps carefully and configure the AWS policies and roles. Now that you've connected your AWS account to Scylla Cloud, you're ready to proceed to creating the ScyllaDB cluster. Here you can give your cluster a name and select between the enterprise version and the alternator version, which is the DynamoDB API. You can enable VPC peering, allow access restriction, and select a deployment for your cluster. For your deployment, you can choose the region, the instance type, the distribution, replication factor, and the number of nodes per AZ. You will notice the Scylla Cloud automatically deploys a highly available cluster distributed evenly across all AZs in the region. For the purposes of the demo, we will choose an i3 EN12 extra large node. Down at the bottom of the page, you can select to extract metrics using Prometheus format. On this page, you will see pricing information, which can help you forecast the price of your cluster. When provisioning ScyllaDB cluster in your own account, the instance data transfer backup costs are paid directly by you to the cloud provider. ScyllaDB incurs no additional costs. That's it. We're ready to launch our cluster. In the final step, we have to provide our billing information. Once you've filled in the information, click the Launch Cluster button. That's it. Our cluster is now bootstrapping out. That's it. Our ScyllaDB cluster is now ready. Within just minutes of signing up to an account, it is running under our own account and managed by the Scylla Cloud service. Next, click Connect to go to the Connect tab in the cluster details. The Connect tab shows you how to connect to your cluster remotely using various clients. Here you will find a SQL username and password, as well as instructions on how to change them. Click on the General tab to show general information about your cluster. When using Scylla Cloud, you gain access to the ScyllaDB monitoring stack, containing a set of pre-prepared dashboards essential for observing ScyllaDB operations. Among these, you will find a high-level overview dashboard, as well as detailed dashboards for CPU, I/O, OS level metrics, and CQL. Notice that most dashboards you can group metrics by instance, as well as instance and shard. For now, our cluster is idle, and the metrics are flat, but we'll get to that shortly. Now that our cluster is set up, we're ready to start sending traffic to it. For the purposes of this demo, we will use the Cassandra Stress utility to generate write traffic to our new cluster. You can find out more details about the test in the link to the source code at the end of the demo. In order to generate sufficient traffic to our cluster, we're going to spin up an EKS cluster and write the write workload from it to the ScyllaDB cluster. We are now ready to submit our workload to the Kubernetes cluster. Here is a time-lapse of the Grafana dashboard during the load test. The requests quickly accumulate to an incredible throughput of 1.5 million operations per second on each node. That amounts to 4.5 million operations per second for a 3-node cluster. The traffic is evenly distributed across the nodes and shards, and the rate and latency are stable. Our test duration is 15 minutes, during which we've loaded hundreds of gigabytes to our cluster. Next, let's take a closer look at the individual graphs on the dashboard. Our servers went up to 75% load uniformly, and each ScyllaDB node served around 1.5 million requests per second, which means we still have a little bit of headroom to grow. We can switch the instance grouping on the top to instance and shard and see how the shards performed. And we can see that the shards perform uniformly across all ScyllaDB instances due to shard awareness. Scrolling down to the latencies section, we can see a uniform 99th percentile of under 1 millisecond from each node. Next, let's head over to the CQL dashboard. In the CQL dashboard, we can see the same volume of writes in the CQL updates graph as we saw in the overview dashboard. If we head over to the client CQL connections by instance, we can see that every Scylla node served around 15K connections concurrently. If we scroll down to the bottom, we can see the optimization section, where we can see each one of these graphs points to a possible issue with our setup, which may or may not be relevant to the current workload we're running, and provides a good starting point for optimizing the type of workload that you want to use for ScyllaDB. Hovering over the little information icon will display a tooltip with a description of the consideration for this metric. For example, at the bottom in the cross-DC section, we can see a note about quorum queries. Since we were using quorum in our workload, it is not optimized for a cross-DC cluster, and we should have used local quorum for better performance. Scylla Monitoring, which is incorporated into Scylla Cloud, contains a rich set of dashboards and metrics crucial for running ScyllaDB in a production workload. We have just demonstrated how easy it is to provision a ScyllaDB cluster under Scylla Cloud and get it up and running in a matter of minutes. Also, we've shown the power of ScyllaDB in the cloud by running a stress test with a total throughput of 4.5 million operations per second with just a 3-node cluster. Finally, we showcased the rich monitoring tools available at your disposal when running ScyllaDB in the cloud. We invite you to try Scylla Cloud for yourself.